Hey, how's it going? Today we're doing a short little guide how to increase your FPS for ARK Aberration. The game runs very, very poorly with all the sparkles in the world. There is a way to turn those off, or different ways to turn them on a little bit for some things like the mushroom trees, but off for the light bugs and stuff like that. We'll kind of go over all that today. Also how to permanently turn off the fog on all the maps. So, as always, this only works for the Steam version on PC. It doesn't work for consoles because you can't do INI edits. However, don't worry, we do got some console commands you can put in. Every time you restart the game, you have to use them, but it also works on console. So, as usual, make sure your game is fully closed. Right-click, go to Properties, Installed Files, Browse, Shooter Game, Saved, Config, Windows, and this time we're messing with the engine INI. Now, as usual, man, make sure you only put in here the things you know that's going to work because you can mess up your game with this. So in here, all the way at the bottom, I'll have two different lines of code for you to put in, plus the header. You need to make sure this header's there or it won't work. And what we have here, this first line of code here is going to be for the sparkles. Now, you have default. I'm not exactly sure what the default is. I think it's around 5 or 10. It all depends. But what we want to do is, if you want it fully off, change that to 0. That'll be 0, anything. No sparkles, no light bubbles around the light pets, anything like that. Now, this also includes the sparkles for the trees. Won't be any more on those. It also has to do with like the charge nodes, a little bit of fog and stuff comes out of those. We'll show you all that in-game. But what I run on now is just on 1. And what 1 does is it leaves the light bubble around the light pets, but it doesn't have the sparkles. It also leaves some of the sparkles on the mushroom trees, which looks fantastic, but it removes all the other sparkles that are created in the world. Huge FPS increase. Now, the second thing we're going to do is for the fog. If you want fog off, you're going to put this line of code right here in. 0 is off. If you want to have it back on, you can either delete that or just put it on 1. So 1 is on, 0 is off. Now, for using a console command with these lines of code, if you're on console and can't do the full INI edits, all you have to do is remove the equal sign and paste that into your console. Exact same thing with the fog. Remove the equal and paste that into your console. And you have the same effect. Again, we'll kind of do these in-game some and show you. But for the INI edits, need the equal sign. It is required. Now, a lot of people use a different code for removing the fog, and they want to remove all the clouds and everything else. I can't get the volumetric clouds to work in here. Not sure why. It might need to go into a different file, so we're still working on that. But using r.fog, we'll do a couple different things. 1, it'll remove all the fog and water. 2, it'll remove all the volumetric fog in the world, but it leaves the clouds in the distance, so it still looks pretty good. So play with that some, see which one you like. When you're done, make sure you go to File, and then Save. Now let's jump in game, and I'll kind of show you the difference on some of those settings, just so you have a visual reference on what you want to do. All right, we are in game, and we're on the default settings. I removed those lines of code so I can kind of show you the difference. Let's make the game a little bit bigger. I play on an ultra wide, so all my recording I do in windowed mode. But as you can see, we got sparkles on the mushroom trees. Let's grab a light pet. You can see all the sparkles by their little antenna. And then if you pet them and turn them on, not that, you'll start getting the effect everywhere, right? So let's do one of the console commands. This is default. Now I'll show you what I play with it on 1. The sparkles will be removed. You usually have to leave the area before it takes effect, right? Leave render. Let's go back. Now this is only if you're using the console command. If you have it in your game file, it'll just be automatically enabled every time you restart the game. As you can see, the sparkles are gone. Now with it being on 1, there is still some of the sparkles by the light pet, just where his antenna is. And you still have them on for the mushroom clouds. Now something else that it affects, like I talked about, it's going to be down here for the charge nodes. With it being on 1, which means it's still partially on, you still have some of the smoke effect. And then for the light bugs, it makes it where they still have the light bubble, so you can see where they're at. And the sparkles are gone from them, though. So that's what I like playing on, because you still have some of the atmosphere, but the main thing that kind of like hinders your performance, which is all the sparkles in the world, is gone. So let's go ahead and change it now to 0. This is the other option. This totally disables it. Again, it's showing on now. We got to leave render. And then we'll double back. And you'll kind of see the difference. So let's start up here with the charge node. 0 fog. All the fog is gone. Let's find a light bug. The bubble's gone. It also affects the light pets. You can't see where they're at in the world. So I don't like playing with it on 0, where it totally disables it, because it kind of makes it hard to see everything. And then the mushroom clouds too, right? Or the trees. All the sparkles are gone. Again, we turn it back on to 1. Leave render. You actually can see here with the light bugs and the sparkles on the mushroom trees. So that's how I like to play with it. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to see and helps your performance a ton, right? So my recommendation, leave it on 1. So the next thing is going to be for the fog, right? Some people like it, some people don't. On this map, I actually kind of like it a little bit, but on all the other maps, I turn it off. And I'll show you what it looks like. So that's with it on now, and that is how it is off. Huge difference, man. So it does kind of affect how some of the atmosphere is, but again, it's easy to turn it on and off. All depends on how you like to play. So it's not too bad, man. It's not too bad. A little bit of stuff there to help you out. I highly recommend putting the 1 for the sparkles on 1 because it still leaves some of them in the world. However, if you are on console or a very low-end PC and still having problems with it, go ahead and just turn it all the way off. And make sure you copy everything out of the description box down below. Put it in like I showed you. And if you're using a console command, make sure to remove the equal sign so that it actually works properly. And that's it, man. Super simple way to increase some FPS over on Aberration. Hopefully you found this guide useful. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.